Hi yogis! Today we're going to be focusing on using our blocks to assist our yoga practice. So as we've discussed in our discussion thread, as well as previous videos, props can be used to assist us in getting into poses. It can also help with alignment. It can also make things more challenging, engaging different muscles. So we're going to explore all of those facets with using our blocks today. If you don't have blocks, books work great as well. In previous classes, somebody said that they used old DVDs, like Friends series or things like that. So using what's available to you for your practice today. We talked about ahimsa in our Intro to Restorative class. As always, please modify your movements. So anything I say is just a suggestion, it's not a command. So we're going to get started today. Laying on our back, we're going to use one of our blocks in a horizontal position, and it's going to be supporting our head today. And it's the bottom or the base of the block is going to hit the base of our skull. And then our other block is going to be towards the front of our mat. So if you have a rectangular mat, it's going to be facing this direction, and the blocks eventually are going to be on either side. So here we go. Starting off with pranayama, we're going to get into our hips, multitasking today as well. So we're going to take our feet and we're going to move them towards the outside edges of our mat if you have a rectangular mat. Otherwise, we're going to move our feet to the outside of our hips, and then we're going to turn our knees in. You may or may not feel this. It's just dependent on how your hips are feeling today. Palms can be facing up, or one hand can be over the heart, one hand over the navel. Adjusting your block as necessary. Is it hitting the base of your skull? You can keep the eyes open, gazing up towards the sky or the ceiling, depending on where you are. Or you can close your eyes. You're going to take a nice slow deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. And a nice slow deep breath out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2 more. This time taking a body scan from your toes all the way to the crown of your head, and just notice how you feel today. Pause. Exhale out any negative energy, any stress. Really let go into all those areas that are touching props, mats. Take another nice slow deep breath in. Pause, and this time we're going to exhale out through the mouth with a sigh. And notice what that loosens in your body. And using that knowledge that you've gained in your pranayama to help guide you in your yoga practice today. So if there were any areas that were tight and I give you options, please make sure that you're choosing the option that speaks to your body today. Every time we come to our mat is going to be different. If your hand is over your heart and your navel, moving the hands down by your side, palms facing up. Take a nice slow deep breath in. Exhale, slowly turn your head. Inhale, bring your head back up towards the center. Exhale over. Notice that I'm keeping the back of my head on the block. So I'm really pressing that skull into the block. Maybe this is releasing any neck tension you might have. Sometimes this can also help if you have a headache. Moving with your breath, allowing your breath to initiate the movement. So my verbal cues might be different from your breath. And know that you can always pause the video. Also on YouTube, there's a slow function. So if you're not getting anything, you can always slow things down and see it in slow motion. I'm going to bring the head back up towards the center. We're going to tuck chin to chest and remove our block off towards the side. I want to have it handy there for just a little bit. We're going to heel toe our feet, so that way we're back into a parallel stance here. Palms come down towards the earth. Shrugging the shoulders up towards the ears, and then exhale, draw the shoulders down. Inhale up with the shoulders. Exhale down. One more. Inhale up. Exhale down. Nicely done. From here, we're going to take one of our lovely blocks and we're going to bring it and we're going to connect it towards one of our thighs. So notice that I'm using the same hand with the same thigh that I'm lifting. So if I'm lifting my right thigh, then I'm going to connect the block with my right hand. All right, and then just feel that engagement. So I'm going to press my thigh into the block, and then I'm going to push my hand. So I'm building a little bit of resistance. And while that's happening, I'm going to flex my foot, dorsiflexion, and then I'm going to point my toe. Flex. Point. When I inhale, I flex. When I exhale, I point. Notice if you're lighting up on that resistance. Push, push, push into that block. So this is option one. We can choose to stay here. And notice what the shoulders are doing. I don't know about you, but mine have creeped up towards my ears. So see if I can draw my shoulders down the spine. Pressing my lower back into the mat as well. So we can choose to stay here using our hands, or now we're going to add a little bit more and we're going to bring our elbow towards our block. Notice that my block is horizontal. And then same thing, I'm going to press my thigh in, flex and point. And then I'm going to flex my foot, keeping it there, really pressing into that block with my elbow and my thigh. I'm going to keep that and I'm just going to rotate everything out. A little bit of external rotation in the hip. Also a little core engagement. As I do that, I'm going to press into my opposite foot. So that way I'm not lifting that opposite hip off my mat. And then I'm going to come back towards the center. It doesn't really matter how far my hip moves out towards the side. What matters is that I'm creating that resistance with my block. I'm also breathing. So notice if all of a sudden you're holding your breath. See if you can breathe here. One more. Right. So option here is to take our opposite hand and bring it up and overhead and hold. For an added challenge, maybe begin to straighten that opposite foot. Notice what happens with our lower back. So think navel, belly button, pressing into our mat here. Remember to breathe. Whew. Are we feeling it? Are we feeling it in the arm? Feeling it in the hip? Feeling the core? Our abdominals. And then exhale, bring it on back. And release our block off towards the side. We're going to take our foot up towards the sky, coming in reclining big toe pose. Take our hands over towards our hamstring. If our leg doesn't get there, we can always bend our knee. It doesn't have to be straight here. Rolling those shoulders away from the ears. Maybe giving the jaw and the neck a little wiggle. Remember to breathe. You guys are doing a great job. Again, added bonus challenge. Maybe we begin to straighten the leg. Just getting into the hamstrings. Notice what happens if we choose to straighten that leg is our chin starting to dip up. We want to try and keep our chin nice and parallel. Our chin can tell us a lot of what's happening with our body. So if we straighten our leg and we're forcing things, then we'll see it in other parts of our body. Exhale, release on down. We're going to take that foot and we're going to cross it on over. We're going to slide our block so that way it's right underneath our bottom foot, bringing the earth up. And then we're going going to take that knee, we're going to press it away from the midline of our body. Or also down towards the front of our mat. A nice little hip stretch. If you want a little bit more, you can choose to thread the needle, come closer. You can also straighten the leg. There's a lot of different options here. You can also choose to lift up the toes so we have a little bit more calf engagement on that opposite side. Get another nice slow deep breath in. Nice slow deep breath out. Nice slow deep breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to release our toes down if they're lifted off the block. Extend the leg up towards the sky and release it on down. We're going to take our block back and we have our other side. So we're going to take our block, connect it towards the thigh, and we're going to start off with just the hand. So relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, and then flex and point. Just building that resistance. Flex, point, flex, point. Using our breath to initiate the movement. Flex, inhale. Point, exhale. We don't want to hyperventilate. To make the movement go faster. Finding that same breath that we used during pranayama. Option to stay here, or we're going to begin to bring the elbow towards one edge of our block. Again, it's horizontal, meeting our thigh. And just notice what the lower back is doing. So sometimes we want to arch here. See if we can connect navel to spine and kind of keep it there. Also notice what's happening with our hip on the opposite side when we open up. So we're not opening up our hip towards the side. We're trying to keep it connected with our mat. If you need to place the hand there for assistance, you can. Moving it out towards the side. Inhale, bringing it back up. Exhale towards the side. Inhale brings you back up. Building that resistance. Push, 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 push. And if you lose your block, no worries. Just set it back up again. Last one. Bringing it back on up. And then we're going to take our other hand and bring it up overhead. Notice that if we bring our hand up overhead and our ribs start to float out, think about connecting those two lower rib cages together, navel to spine. And core engagement, that's going to help keep the back from arching and keeping the ribs from poking out. Again, more of a challenge, you can straighten that foot. Remember to breathe here for 5, 4, 3, 2, think happy thoughts, 1, and bring it back down. Releasing the hand on down, releasing that block. Extending up 4, reclining big toe pose. So taking those hands, wrapping around the hamstring again, you can choose to keep that knee at a bend. We're just slowly awakening the back of the leg. It doesn't matter to me how high that leg goes. What matters to me is that you're feeling a stretch through the back of the leg. This can be for the hamstring as well as the calf because we're dorsiflexing. If we're pointing, notice what that does. Just taking in those subtle awarenesses and awakening in the body. Relaxing shoulders, and again, noticing what's going on with the chin. Again, you can straighten that opposite leg on down. On this side, my left side is my weaker side. So I'm going to keep my knee bent. this side. Find a nice slow, deep breath in. And a slow, deep breath out. Relaxing all those areas that are touching your mat. Another nice, slow, deep breath in. Nice, slow, deep breath out. And begin to bend into the knee at the end of that exhale. We're going to slide our block so that it goes underneath our foot. And then we're going to take our foot, extend it back up, and figure four on the other side. So again, I mentioned that my left side is really tight. So if having the block lifting it up, you were unable to cross that foot across from the thigh, then you don't have to use your block. You can just have that foot flat on the mat. Taking that knee and pressing it away from you, down towards the front of your mat. Notice that I'm flexing my foot. That's going to engage all the muscles around the knee, protecting it. Relax shoulders away from ears, and again, you can play around with different variations if it suits your practice today. Bringing that whole figure four shape closer, threading the needle or extending the leg. Finding whatever position suits your practice today. Remember to breathe. Nice slow deep breath in. Nice slow deep breath out. If you have your foot on the block, you can play with lifting your toes up. Notice what that engages in the calf. Holding here just a little bit longer. And releasing the hand, extend the leg up towards the sky and release it on down. We're going to take that block and release it back towards us. Taking the hands down by the sides, pressing into your mat, we're going to toe tap. A little bit more core engagement. Tap the toes for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Flex the feet, tap the heels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Bringing the feet on up and releasing on down. Grabbing hold of our block, we're going to put it horizontal again, like how we started, and we're just going to roll onto our side here. We're going to have our knees so that way they're in line with our hip, and our feet are going to be lifted up, but if we were to draw a straight line, they're going to be in line with our knees. So this whole lower portion is making a 90-degree angle. And then we're just using our block here to support our head. And then we're going to open up for some side IT band and hip engagement. And we're going to open up into a Supta Baddha Konasana, or Baddha Konasana. A modified. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release the feet on down. We're going to switch over towards the other side. So for all of you, the easiest way is to just lift the knees on up and turn and face over on the other side. I'm going to keep facing the camera, so my transition is going to be a little bit different than all of you. Checking our alignment for the lower body is are our knees in line with our hip, and my feet are in line with my knees, making that 90-degree angle. Relaxing our head onto our prop so we're not really worried about what's going on up here, more down here. We're going to lift our knees, not our knees, but our feet on up, and then we're going to extend, opening up that top knee and then connecting it with the lower for 10, 9, remember to breathe, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, and 1. A nice, interesting variation for bound angle pose. So for all of you, we are facing this direction right now. We're going to press into the earth and we're going to slowly lift on up off of our prop, coming to boat pose. Using our block once more, we're going to place it so that way the shorter edge is facing up. We're going to place it in between our shins. We want to keep it away from our knees, so we don't want to put it on bone, more or less muscle. So we're going to place our hands back behind us. Think about extending the heart forward and then engage navel to spine. So now we have core engagement and there's no more arching of our spine. Roll the shoulders back. We're going to lift on up so that way our shins are parallel towards our mat. And we're going to tap our toes. Same motion that we did earlier. We're just evolving it. 2, 3, 4, 5. For the next 5, if you want to make it more challenging, you can release the arms on forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. We're going to take our block and we're going to have it towards the middle of our mat and we're going to use it for a comfortable seat. We're going to find a comfortable seat on our block. And if you need to, you can use 2 blocks to help. So, we're going to come into a comfortable seat. That can be crisscross applesauce, or easy pose as it's called in yoga. We're going to take our arms out towards the side. We're going to take one of our hands and we're going to act as if we're giving a high five, and the other hand's going to be like psych, and it's going to come right underneath. And then we're going to make a figure 8 with our other hand, just relaxing into our wrists. Using that subtle movement. See if you can make a figure 8 going the other direction. Ooh. Draw the shoulder down away from the ears. And then we're going to do the same thing other side. Bring the hands out like a T. Take the other hand, bring it over. Other hand says psych. Boop. Goes underneath, takes hold of the shoulder blade, and then drop on down. Or the shoulder. Figure 8 with our fingertips. And then see if we can make the figure 8 going the other direction. Which may or may not end up looking like a figure 8. And being able to laugh at yourself. Sometimes we take yoga a little bit too seriously, and we have this serious face on during our whole practice. So see if you can invite a smile in, maybe a little bit of laughter. Enjoy. And then we're going to give ourselves a nice little hug and draw one ear towards our shoulder. Make a U shape. Drop chin to chest and go all the way towards the other side, ear towards the other shoulder, drop the shoulders down. Chin to chest, bring it back on up. Notice what foot is in front of the other. Bring the hands down on either side, because remember you're up on a block, and then we're going to switch what leg is in front. Reaching the sit bones down onto your block. Reach those arms on up. Draw one hand down towards your mat and reach the other one up and over. As we reach on over, notice what's happening to our block or blocks. Are they reaching over towards one side? If so, see if you can reach that opposite sit bone, glute down, so that way your block isn't leaning. And then turn your head. Bring your ear back towards the shoulder. Bring your hand back on up, and we're going to switch over towards the other side. Drop the other hand down. Reach on over, feeling that stretch in the side body, think obliques. And then notice if your blocks are leaning over towards the side, really press down on that opposite glute and sit bone. And then turn your gaze. Bring your head back towards the center, ear towards the shoulder, and then up. Inhale on up, exhale on down. Bring your fingertips forward, so that way you can come forward off of your block or blocks and remove it off towards the side where your other block is, so that way it's on either side. We're going to find our way to a tabletop position. And we should have some support for our wrists. So checking on in. If during our pranayama practice you were feeling it in your wrists, you can always make fists to help in this position. We're going to inhale. We're going to draw our gaze forward. Belly button reaches down. Cat-cow, Babalasana. Exhale. We're going to round the spine. Chin to chest. And then we're going to press back into child's pose. Forearms come down. Inhale, bring your gaze in between the thumbs, front of the mat, and press back to our starting position. Round on the exhale. Child's pose. Forearms, push on through. Cow. Round on the exhale, cat. Child's pose. 2 more of those. Forearms release on down. Inhale. Exhale. Back on that exhale. Forearms inhale. Back on up. All right. We're going to take our blocks to support right underneath our hands. Now, option here is to stay with the knees, or at least one knee connected onto your mat. So we can lift and alternate. This would be option 1. Option 2, to make it a little bit harder, begin to extend one leg and the other leg. And we're going to try and connect our knee towards our elbow. Think of that same suction cup that we started class with. Imagine that there's a block in between the elbow and you're pressing it forward, engage navel to spine. And then we're going to switch. Hold, try and connect. Imagine that there's an imaginary block in between the knee and the elbow, and then come back. 10 of those, a little bit faster. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to tuck the toes under. We're going to press on back into a downward facing dog. Notice that we're using our blocks to lift up the floor to help. So maybe before, when you've done downward facing dog, you might have noticed that your heels might have lifted, but in this position, your heels might be closer towards the mat. If your heels are lifted in this position, that's okay. You can bend your knees. We want to be pressing away from our blocks. So if you find yourself in this position, notice that my back is rounding and my hands are more towards my shoulders. Notice that I'm going to try and keep my shoulders pressing away from my wrists. I'm going to be looking at my knees, and that lengthens out that round. Bending the knees can also help with that. We're going to alternate. Bending one knee, straightening the other. And then we're going to take one foot up towards the sky, 3-legged dog, and that foot's going to slide in between the blocks, and then we're going to drop that back knee for a low lunge. We're going to lift our blocks up so that we're at our highest point here. Talking about alignment, knee in line with heel, 90-degree angle. And then notice if your hips want to dump towards one side. So notice if we want to dump forward, or also notice if we're leaning towards the other side. If that's happening for you, tuck the back toes under, push forward, and then push back with that front foot. And that's going to even out your hips. Think about core engagement here and lifting our chest. So when we're in this position, we tend to want to round here and just fold over that front foot. See if we can find a length here. Reaching out through the crown of the head as well. A nice slow deep breath in. Nice slow deep breath out. Inhale, bring the hand one at a time towards the thigh, not the knee. Protect that joint and lift on up. We need to extend maybe one hand and the other hand up towards the sky. And then we're going to turn our palms towards the front, and we're going to come into a 90-degree angle. There's a theme here, a lot of 90-degree angles. And then we're going to connect almost as if there's a block in between. Bring it on out. Extend on up. And then float those hands back down towards our block. We're going to bring our blocks on the inside of the foot, and we're going to heel toe our foot so that way it's a little bit wider stance here. Knee still in line with the heel. If you want to make this a little bit more of a challenge, you can lower down your blocks, or you can also come to your forearms here. Lifting the toes up, we're going to turn them out at like a 45-degree angle. So we have that engagement around the knee here. Option to stay here or allow the knee to turn out a little bit more, lifting the inside edge of the foot. If you're feeling it in your knee, then I invite you to stay here at our starting position. Foot flat, knee facing forward. If that's feeling okay for you, you're going to release the hand closest towards your foot, extend it up and over, and we're going to open up our heart. Also a little bit more of a twist. If our back knee's feeling okay, maybe we lift up and we try and connect our heel towards our hand. Quad stretch. Maybe we can grab. And if we can't, that's okay. Think about bringing that heel closer towards the glute. Nice deep breath in. And then exhale, release that back foot, release that hand back towards our block. Bring our foot back to a parallel stance, and then bring that block up and over. Half split, walk the block back, toes lift. Straightening that front knee. Now I'm rounding. And then I'm going to come back to that starting position, move my blocks forward, and I'm lifting. We're going to go back between those two postures with our breath. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Tuck the back toes under. Option to take our block that's furthest from our front knee. For me, that's going to be my left block. Placing my hand down, lifting up my back knee, and then opening up. So my right hand's going to lift. The hand that's closest towards the bent knee. So if I'm here, see if you can switch it. So we're opening up towards that bent knee. And then exhale, bring it down. Flatten out our blocks. We're going to take our front foot, we're going to bend it and bring it on back to downward facing dog. If that was a difficult transition for you, you can always use your hand to help guide it a little bit further back and then bring it back. Taking our dog for a walk, bending one knee, straightening the other. And we're going to switch over towards the other side. We're going to take our leg up, planting that foot in between our blocks, bending into that back knee, low lunge, shifting our blocks to wherever suits your practice today. Extend through the spine, setting up for that alignment, knee in line with heel. And just remember to breathe. Checking with the hips if you need to tuck the back toes under, that push-pull. We can do that. I'm going to bring one hand towards the thigh, the other. Again, avoiding the knee. And then bring the hands on up towards the sky. Palms face the front, 90-degree angle. Exhale, bring it forward. Imagine that there's a block that you're squeezing in between. and then come back out. Inhale up, palms face forward again, and meet our block. We're going to take our blocks on the inside of our foot, heel toe, that foot towards the outside edge of your mat. And again, option to stay here. Option to move your blocks to different levels. We want to go a little bit deeper into the hip, lift the front toes, turn that whole foot at a 45-degree angle, and then allow the knee to splay out towards the side. Again, if you're feeling it in your knee, then keep it nice and parallel and the foot flat on your mat. We're going to take the hand that's closest towards that bent knee, opening it on up. Staying here, or begin to bend into that knee a little bit further. So that way you can push your heel towards the glute. Maybe it's available to hold. Quad stretch. Finding a breath here. Nice deep breath in. Nice deep breath out. Inhale. Exhale, release. Bring the hand back on down. Foot nice and parallel. Walking the block so that way it's on the other side and the foot is in between the blocks. Half splits. Walking it back, rounding dorsiflexion, lifting toes up. Notice that that knee has moved to be straight. Also, I'm transferring my weight back. Inhale, lift back to that low lunge. You might have to assist and move your blocks. Doing that movement back and forth 2 times. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. The last round. Exhale. Inhale. And then bring our blocks to be flat. Tuck the back toe under. Rotating here. So, bringing the hand, for me it's going to be my right hand, it's going to be the opposite hand of the front foot, and then open up facing towards that bent knee for that twist. Nice deep breath in, and exhale, bringing it back. Taking that front foot, bringing it back towards you, and straighten. And back into a downward facing dog. Again, if you need transition here, take the hand, help it underneath the hamstring, bring it back, and then bring it back towards downward facing dog. Taking the legs for a walk. And then we're going to walk our feet towards our blocks. And then we're going to bring our blocks up to our highest setting. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. We're going to find a little bit of length here. And notice where our transference of weight is. Is it towards our heels? Is it towards the ball of the foot? We want to try and line ourselves up so that way our hips are going over our heels. So for me, I tend to lean on back. Just notice where that transference of weight is. To help with any lower back pain, you can always bend your knees as well. And just fold forward. You can play with different placements of the blocks, also with your hands, of what feels good for you. If you want to go deeper, you can always use your heels towards your blocks and then take your hands and slide them in. A little bit more resistance here. A lot of different things that you can play with. Shaking the head, no. Releasing any neck tension, getting rid of any negative energy that might be remaining. And shake the head, yes, positive, ending on that positive note. Bring your head back to neutral, find a little bit of length with the spine, and the knees, and roll on up vertebrae by vertebrae. Head comes on up. Thanks. All right. We're going to grab our blocks. We're going to find ourselves in mountain pose. Taking our blocks, we're going to press them together, they're horizontal. And then we're going to bring our heel of our palms towards the outside edge. We're going to press those blocks together. Calf raises. We're going to lift up our heels and then plant on down. Try and squeeze those blocks together. Hug the elbows in towards the side body for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Bring it on down and release. So the next thing we're going to do, I want to make sure that we are being safe into ahimsa. So if you're on carpet or you're using something other than yoga blocks, be very careful with the next movement that we're going to do. You don't have to use a prop for this. I'm going to show what we're going to be doing first. Is we're going to kind of be using it as a stepping tool, working with our stability and balance training. So we're going to step up, we're going to go knee, and then we're going to switch and alternate. So again, practicing ahimsa, if you're like, no, Mrs. Shami, that's just not going to work for me, we can do the same thing. We can just step and alternate without our block, okay? So we're getting a little cardio in as well. So I'm going to step up on my left foot, and then my right knee is going to kick on up, and then I'm going to bring it down, and then I'm going to switch. So I'm going to bring my left foot down, right foot now goes onto the block, and then my left knee is going to lift. And then I'm going to place that left foot down and switch. Step, knee, step, 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 knee, and hold. So if you're like, ooh, not feeling balanced here, place that foot down, and again, you don't have to use a block for this next activity we're going to be doing. Otherwise, we're going to step on our block, making sure that our block is flat, and our whole foot is as much on that block as we can be. We're going to bend into our standing supported leg, and we're also going to bend into that other knee. We're also going to lean forward just a little bit, but I'm still going to engage my core and stay long. I'm going to extend my knee out towards the side. Think about the same thing we did with our block we're doing here, but without connecting our elbow. And out. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. On down, we're going to switch over towards the other side. Whole foot going flat on our block. Lifting on up. Bending into that standing supported leg. Leaning forward slightly, hands can drop, but we're not rounding here. So if I was to face sideways, I know my head's a little cut off, but this is what I'm going to look like. Notice that I still have that length in my spine. Bending support. Out. 10. 9. Great job, you guys. 8. Ooh. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Release it on down. Taking our blocks again towards the top of our mat, facing the front of our mat. Inhale, reach the arms on up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Connecting our hands towards our blocks. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Lift on up, find a little bit of length. Exhale, round. Taking our hands behind our blocks. Take one leg back, the other leg back, top of a push-up. Exhale, low all the way down. Roll the shoulders back. Inhale, baby bhujangasana, cobra pose. Exhale, down. Inhale, lift up into a tabletop position. Tuck the toes under, downward facing dog. Lifting up our foot, we're going to place it in between our blocks again. Take our hands now on the support of our blocks. Alright, setting up for warrior two. I'm going to take that back foot and I'm going to drop it on down. So that way it's parallel with the back edge of my mat if you have a rectangular mat. Knees in line with the heel, same alignment that we had for our low lunge. And then we're going to move our block so that way it's close and it's going to be right behind one of our heels. And then we're going to lift on up and we're going to take our other block with us. From here we're going to take our block onto our thigh. We're going to reach our other hand up and over. A variation of warrior two. Taking our block and reaching it up and opening it up. We're going to take that front block and we're going to face it down. Rotate it back up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it back on up, reverse that warrior, take that back hand, drop it down, bring that block up and reaching it back and up. We might be looking at that block or we might be looking down. Inhale back up and over. We're going to take that block, bring it back down towards the earth. Place our hand on that block and then we're going to take over for extended side angle. So option here to keep our hand on that block and straighten that front leg, or we can move our hand with our knee bent towards that other block that we set up before and open up our side body, straighten the legs. So now we're in a triangle pose. Our hips are going to be reaching back and away. Top hand is going to be in line with where our bottom hand is, so it almost looks like a 180-degree line. So if I need to modify and move my blocks, I can. I can look up at the thumb. I can look down at the big toe. Either way, I'm going to imagine that there's a wall behind me and I'm opening up my shoulder blades and pressing against it while staying heavy in my legs in the front and the back. Inhale. Exhale. Bend back into the knee. Bring the other hand to support and move back into my blocks. And I'm going to switch out. So I'm going to bring my back leg to meet my front. And I'm going to switch out. My other leg's going to move back. Flat foot. Toes turned out. Back foot parallel with the back edge of my mat if it's rectangular. Moving my blocks so one can be closer. And I'm going to take the other block with me as I come on up. Warrior two on the other side. Planting down through my feet. Turning one of those blocks down. Hands reach on out. Flipping it on up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lifting that block. Hand comes down, reverse warrior. And bringing that block back down towards the thigh. Reach that back arm down. Thigh engagement here. Floating the block back down, extended side angle, reach arm up overhead, maybe even bend into that front knee a little bit more. Ways to get into triangle pose, straightening that front knee, arm opens up, that's option 1. Option 2, bend into that knee, bring it towards that block that we set up, and then straighten. And we can look toward that top hand. That again is going to be where my bottom shoulder is. So we're making a 180-degree line here. Or I can look at my big toe. Shoulder blades are extending to the wall or space behind. So we're really opening and broadening through the chest. Triangle pose, Trikonasana. Nice deep breath in, planting down through the feet. Exhale, bend into that knee, bring the hands back down onto the blocks. Lift up that back heel. And then we're going to place our hands down on either side of that front foot, away from our blocks. Transition to top of a push-up, bend the knees, and lower all the way down. I'm going to slide one of my blocks forward, and then I'm going to use the other block to support my head once more. So I'm going to have my head on the block, just my forehead for right now. And then I'm going to take my hand, for me it's going to be my right hand, out towards the side. I'm going to turn my head the opposite way. And as I do that, I'm going to relax my shoulder blade onto my mat. I'm going to bring my feet together, and my hips are going to go towards that extended arm. So now I'm laying on my whole right side, my right arm is extended, and I'm looking towards the left. This is option one, getting into the shoulder. Or I can also take my top leg, for me that's going to be my left, I can bend into it and then plant it behind me. A little more hip opening. If you want a quad stretch and a little bit of a balance challenge while you're here, hold on with the left hand and the left ankle and try and connect the knees. Rolling the shoulders back. Remember to breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you're doing the quad stretch, release that hold. If your foot is bent, bring it to connect with the other foot. And then rolling back onto our stomachs, we're going to switch over towards the other side. So now, for me, it's going to be my left arm straightens. I turn my head in the opposite direction. I'm going to bend my right arm now, because I'm not using it. I'm going to rotate onto my left side. And again, I'm using that block to assist my head. I'm just facing off towards the side. I'm getting a nice little shoulder stretch. As I do that, I want to make sure that my shoulder is in line with my hand. Feel for that. I can stay here. Option 2, bend and plant. Option 3, quad stretch, connect hand and ankle, and then knee to knee. And just remember to breathe here. Nice slow deep breath in. Nice slow deep breath out. Nice slow deep breath in. Nice slow deep breath out. Nice slow deep breath in. And exhale. If you're holding on to your foot, release. If your foot is planted, come back. Using the weight of that hand that's supported in front of you, that's bent. We're going to rotate on back. Bringing both hands in and then press back into what's called a child's pose. We're going to modify our child's pose today. We're going to have our knees bent out wide angle. Big toes touching, and then we're going to use our block. We can have it on its highest setting to support our forehead, on its side, or completely flat. So there's 3 different ways that you can do this. We want to try and connect our sit bones, our glutes, towards our heel. And again, if this is too high for you, playing with what works for you. You can have the elbows bent, or you can have them straight. Finding your breath. 2 rounds, nice slow deep breath in. Nice slow deep breath out. Nice slow deep breath in. Nice slow deep breath out. If our hands are reaching forward, our elbows are straight, bringing them back in, bending. Pressing into the earth with the hands to slowly roll up off of our prop. Taking our knees together, grabbing both blocks, coming into camel pose. We're going to take our blocks and we're going to place them right beside our heels. And then we're going to tuck our toes under. My knees are hip distance apart, think 2 fist width wide. I'm going to place my hands on my lower back. Fingers are reaching down. Roll the shoulders back, elbows hug towards each other. Inhale, I'm going to invite my heart to lean on forward, hips press forward, and I'm going to gaze up. This might be enough for today. Heart opener, a little hint of a back bend. You want a little deeper? Take the hands onto either one of the blocks, reach the heart forward, hips forward, and gaze towards the front. You can also take your hands onto your heels without the blocks. Reversing, bring the hands back and bring it forward. Bringing our heels towards each other. Toe squat, including our pinky toes. Now this is going to be pleasant, but if you're feeling it in your knees, you can do crisscross applesauce and just do the arm variation of what we're going to be doing. So we are going to connect our heels and our sit bones, and we're going to do the same thing we did before with our blocks connecting in mountain pose, except we're going to do behind. And then bring the heel of the palms together and press your blocks together and count to 5. 1. Remember to breathe. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release the blocks. Release back into a tabletop position and meet out the tops of your feet. Moving our legs to be out in front. Taking our blocks, so that way they're going to be right behind our heels. Scooting our sit bones towards those blocks, and then we're going to lay on back. We're going to take one of our feet, and we're going to place it on the block. And we're going to bring our other foot onto the block. And now that our feet are on the blocks, can we reach with our fingertips towards our blocks, or are they too far away? And if they're too far away, we can always kick our heels up so that way they can reach towards our fingertips. We're going to press down with our hands. We're going to relax our shoulders, and our gaze is going to stay up. This is very important. So we don't want to be looking off at our laptop, turning our head towards the side when we're doing this. So watch first, and then be guided by my verbal cues. So we're going to lift up into bridge. We're going to point our foot up towards the sky. One circle the other. Bring it back, and then lower back down. All right, let's do this together. So we're bringing our hands down by our side. Roll the shoulders back. Inhale, lift up, vertebrae by vertebrae, hips come back up. Extending one foot up, and in order to do that, we have to transfer our weight to one of the blocks, so that way we can release it. Straightening up, feeling that glute engagement, draw a circle, and draw a circle, go the other way. Bring that foot back, lift both hips up towards the sky, and then lower down vertebrae by vertebrae. And we're going to repeat the same process the other way. Lift the hips on up. Transfer your weight over towards the other block, so that way you can release that foot. Circle. Circle, go the other way. Bring it back down. Lift both hips up. Exhale, lower on down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Taking our blocks, we're going to take our feet on the outside edge of our blocks, and we're going to lift them on up. So that way we're squeezing both blocks. Bring the hands back behind our head, and we're going to twist our opposite elbow towards our knee. Think bicycles with a little bit of a variation. 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to lift our knees on up coming into almost like a happy baby pose, and we're going to hold on to the outside of our calf, hug those knees on in. We can hold on to our hamstrings as well, flex our feet, and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reach our blocks and take them out. Palms facing up. If you liked the block supporting behind your head, you can do that here. You can also have your knees bent in Shavasana, same way we started, if having your legs straight creates a little compression for the lower back. So just tuning into your body and modifying what feels good for your practice before you settle on in. Closing the eyes or finding a soft gaze towards the ceiling, towards the sky, depending on where you are. Begin to relax all the muscles going from the crown of your head all the way down to your toes. Just relax all the muscles of the face. Wiggle a jaw from side to side and then soften. Relax shoulders away from ears. Upper and lower arms. All 10 fingers relax. The whole torso, each vertebra of the spine, hips, upper and lower legs, and all 10 toes. The whole right side of the body relaxed. The whole left side of the body relaxed, allowing the whole body to relax. I invite you to hit pause and stay here as long as you need for your practice. This is recovery time for your body, time for your mind to soften and release. Finding the joy in today's practice. See if you can find 3 thoughts of gratitude. What are you grateful for? And with those thoughts of positivity, wiggle fingers and toes. Tuck chin towards chest, remove the block if it's behind the base of your skull. Lower back down. If your knees are bent and your feet out wide, heel toe back in. Hug one knee in and the next, wrapping hands around the shin. Bring the knees into a circle, massaging out the lower back. Change your breath, change that circle. Use that momentum to fold over in a fetal position on the side of your choice. Just take this time for the body to wake up. When you're feeling good, press into the earth and come up to a comfortable seat. You can use the block to sit on. Keeping with our theme today. Inhale, arms on up towards the sky, palms connect. Exhale, hands down, thumb meets sternum. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your yoga practice today. The light in me honors that positive light within each and every one of you. Namaste.